I'm giving somebody the blues today.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we have more bad news coming from Xbox. As you guys know, they're struggling a lot over there, and the company as a whole, right, Xbox as a whole, is in risk of being spun off. What that means is Xbox or Microsoft is considering whether or not to separate the company from Microsoft so that they could sell it in full. And the person who's in charge, the new CEO who's in charge, is basically trying to salvage the company because that is the final option. They're trying to somehow find a way for it to turn a profit and put it back on track, because the game at one point in time was rivaling PlayStation, and over the past decade it's fallen so far, and they're like, enough is enough. We either need to fix it or we need to basically get rid of it. So you saw the closure of a lot of studios, you saw a lot of people get laid off, you see them canceling games, you see Xbox doing anything and everything to stay alive. And the most recent thing that they're doing is considering whether or not to give up on their game Blade. This report comes from The Verge, and Microsoft is currently weighing closing at least 5 studios, including Arcane Studio, which are the people who made Blade, and they're exploring options to sell Arcane Studio. Now, I don't know who would be in consideration to purchase this studio, and hopefully the IP is well and the game can continue to be made. But the thing is, if another company purchased it, they would probably want to put microtransactions in it, monetize it. They probably wouldn't want to put their own stamp on it. And you have a lot of corporate meddling in a game, and then it probably either releases terribly or it just simply doesn't work. The report also says that layoffs is expected to happen around July the 6th. So we'll see whether or not some of this stuff come true then, or whether or not it'll be delayed. The quote says the layoff will lead to studio closures or spinoffs, potential mergers of studios, and canceled games. So next week there's going to be a huge amount of layoffs, and we're going to see what all games are impacted. And this game being one of the heavy hitters that was coming up next year, people were so confused as to what they're doing. Like, for example, the Cartel Dell on Twitter says no other game trailer at the Game Awards broke 4 million views, yet Blade got 11 million. Do not kill your golden goose, and tags the person in charge. What's really interesting about this whole thing is how much power the Blade IP has. This character hasn't really showed up in a major movie and like had his star role. I know his movie was being planned by Marvel. That thing got lost in development and was eventually canceled. The actor stepped away and was talking trash about Marvel and how they're so bad at making movies, corporate meddling and whatnot. It's always corporate meddling. But the movie didn't happen. He only featured in the Deadpool Wolverine movie, which was very fun, exciting. A lot of people loved it. But besides that, the thing that's been keeping him alive was video games. He's in Marvel Rivals and he's super loved. Even though the character is really weak and people were asking for him to be buffed, he's still a big part of that game. And then Marvel ToeCon, just a couple of days ago, they did a reveal some of their final characters for the game, and one of which was Blade. And that reveal was massive. People loved it. So you can see that the IP has so much life, so much energy, and it's rare when you have a character that's this impactful, but then the companies who are in charge of it just don't know what to do. If they were to cancel this game, that would be a huge mistake, because you have so much potential here with a Blade game, with the type of villains that could show up, with the type of story that you would tell. This is territory that hasn't been tackled in a meaningful way in well over about 2 decades. I know that Xbox and Microsoft are really thinking about how they could cut costs, but they have to understand when the game that they have is a potential W. PlayStation currently has their hands on a lot of Marvel IPs, Wolverine game, Marvel Rivals, ToeCon. They has their hands on everything. They don't fully control those games, but they just have their hands on everything. And Marvel is such a strong IP to where Xbox should focus on retaining this just for the sake of competition alone. This should be the competitor to go up against Wolverine, which is another huge game just on the IP alone. The tide is also turning on Xbox. I know they had like a good reveal a little while ago and people were loving the green Xbox and just some of the smaller things that they were doing, but now we're getting kind of away from that, and what's happening is layoffs, cancellations, and when you look at the comment section of all of these different posts that's talking about it, you can see that people aren't too happy. They're mad at Xbox for canceling games. They're mad at Xbox for firing developers, and the sentiment around this company is changing, and it's not going to help them. Honestly, for Xbox, I don't know what the future looks like. This game has lost so much ground, and for me, it's really hard to see PlayStation players stopping playing PlayStation, not purchasing the PlayStation 6, and switch it back over to Xbox. It's very difficult for me to see that. It would have to be a strong lineup of games. It would have to be competitive pricing. It would have to be a whole lot for people to consider going back to Xbox. And I don't know if Xbox could make all of these changes now. It seems like we're so far off the path. We're so far gone from the console war, and the only realistic thing is just more layoffs, more layoffs, more layoffs until eventually the company is sold. You have random obscure consoles that no one ever heard about selling more units than Xbox. It's in a really, really, really dark spot. And I think just the way that people even think about Xbox is their main hurdle. Some people just think of Xbox and they immediately begin to chuckle because they know how much of a joke the console is. Other consoles that are more obscure, they have a better opportunity because when you think of those, you think, oh, new technology, you think innovation. With Xbox, they have this cloud over them, and they not only have to get out of that, and this news about them considering whether or not to cancel Blade is not going to help them in the slightest.